So the content of the PowerPoint is to give you understanding about the concept of JavaScript, and then we will learn some JavaScript statement, and then we are going to learn how we can do some uh, programming with the JavaScript. So what is JavaScript, and then the syntax, and then we are going to implement the JavaScript into a web page. And of course, when you deal with the programming, you need to know what is the data type, what is the operator, and then about the conditional iteration, and how we can create functions, and how we debug. So it's also another key issues in the JavaScript. We have the DHTML. DHTML means the dynamic HTML. It has the dynamic behavior at the client side. So whenever we connect to one web, so we can do something. We can do our own behavior because they have the JavaScript. So DHTML or dynamic HTML, it makes possible a web page to react and change in response to the user's action. So you need to make this JavaScript because sometimes you can modify the user interface without connecting to the database. So the DHTML, maybe you can look at many websites. They mention the HTML plus CSS plus JavaScript. Okay, so those three are the combination. But sometimes, yeah, people also mention the DHTML as the combination of XHTML. It means the extension, extensible HTML. CSS, we already learned the CSS, which is the style, cascading style sheet. And then, yeah, today we are going to learn the JavaScript. And later on, we will learn about DOM, or the data object model. Data object model. So the DHTML, yeah, some literatures they mention it is the intersection between the CSS, JS, and HTML. HTML, it defines the website's content through the semantic text. So you know already about the heading, paragraph, list. CSS, it defines the rules or styles for presenting every aspect of an HTML document. So you know that we can define the font, we can change the background, we can do some layout or positioning. And the JavaScript, it will define the dynamic behavior. So it means we are going to use some programming logic for interaction with the user to handle events and etc. So the DHTML, it is the dynamic content. There are many browsers, they support this dynamic content. And because the proposed idea was from the Microsoft, was the Internet Explorer, which is now has been modified to X. It supports that one. And with the HTML, you can change the content of the page after it is loaded. And you can make some kind of animation with the HTML. It is the ability to place the HTML element at a specific point on the page relative to another element or the browser window itself. And then for font download, yeah, Actually, in some other browsers, they can dynamically download fonts for use in the web page. So nowadays, there are many browsers, they can dynamically download the fonts as it is necessary. And in the HTML, it has some kind of data binding. So we will learn how we can deal with this data binding. So it is a HTML feature that requires you easily bind the individual elements in your document to data from another sources. So maybe you know the database, which is the common data repository, or if you use like the data science class, you use the CSV file. But later on, you will learn more about the data. You can have the .json file. You can learn about .xml file. Okay. So we can easily bind with those kind of data. And it has a dynamic styles. So because it is the key feature of the HTML. So using the CSS, you can quickly change the appearance and formatting of elements in the document without adding or removing elements. So the JavaScript is a front-end scripting language. It was developed first time by Netscape. I think you will never know about the Netscape. It has been disappeared because it was very old web browser, and they developed the JavaScript for the dynamic content at the first time. The dimension is lightweight, so the JavaScript is very light, but it has limited capabilities. It can be used as object-oriented language. So if the programming language is an object-oriented language, then it is possible for the big development. Client-side technology. Nowadays, the web browser try to embed the JavaScript to any the web browser, because the web browser should understand the HTML page, and it can be interpreted by the web browser. The JavaScript is simple and flexible. You can see later what is the meaning by the simplicity and the flexibility. And then it is powerful to manipulate the DOM. DOM, it is the data object model. Okay. So the advantages of using this JavaScript, you can implement the form validation. In the back end, you know about the form dot is valid. Okay. So it means if we want to check whether the form is valid or not, you need to go to backend. But when you have the JavaScript, you can just implement it, and the client can directly look at the form validation. And then it can react to user actions. So yeah, whenever you have the user interface, when you click something, it can connect easily. And it can change an image on moving mouse over it. Because in the we have the back end and front end. The front end usually will do something and will connect to the back end to change the front end. But with the JavaScript, you can easily do more things like moving mouse, you can change the data and etc. And section of a page appearing and disappearing. content loading and changing dynamically, performing complex calculation. So nowadays in JavaScript, they have also the library for deep learning. And then you can have the custom HTML control. So you can make the table or make it as a scrollable table. And you can implement Ajax. So we will learn also later about Ajax. So the JavaScript, it can handle events. It can read and write HTML elements. So with the JavaScript, you can create more HTML element in dynamic, and then you can modify the DOM. You can validate the form data. You can access and modify browser cookies. So the cookies that we learned before, if you use the get method, you can save your cookies and then you can modify it with the JavaScript. So the web that we looked at before, the business week from the Bloomberg, actually they use the JavaScript to handle the cookies. And it can detect the user browser and OS. So why the Google can detect our devices? Because they also use this JavaScript. It can be used as the oriented. It can handle exception, and this is the asynchronous server calls, or we call it the Ajax. So for the JavaScript, I think it's better to create another new project. So I will make a new project, basic JS. Let me close this project. And then I will make a new project. So make the Django project. And then let me make basic JS. So make sure that the interpreters are still available in your computer. And then you can just create. So we will put the HTML file in the folder templates. Okay. Just for the simplicity, I will not make any app for this one because we are going to learn only the JavaScript. So let's create a file views.py in the folder basic.js. And then I will copy this to the views.py. So in the basic.js, you know that it is the parent folder. It has the setting.py, urls.py. So let's make a new Python file. Let's create views.py. And then I will just use this very simple index.html. Yeah, in this course, I will just focus on the JavaScript, not connecting to another URL. And let's get one URL, which is the home. So you can go to the urls.py. And then you can put your home here. So if you see this error, it means this link, they cannot find where is home. So you need to call this one. Where is the home function. The home function is located in the views.py. So I will just copy this one. In the views.py, there is one function home, and when I call this home, it will render index.html. And let's make a new index.html in the folder templates. And this is the index.html. So in the folder templates, I will use the new file HTML. I will create index.html. And then let me make like this one. So after you finish this, so please check the assignment to folder templates in settings.py. So if your Django version is 3 point something something, please use this following template folder. Okay. I hope that you know already by now. If you are using the same version as mine, then you can just go directly running your server. Okay, I will just run the server. And you can see now there is one kind of pop-up. And this pop-up is about the hello JavaScript. Whenever you refresh this page, then the JavaScript will appear. So the comment here is in the script. Okay, you need to put in between the script and you need to specify what are you going to use. So in this case, I'm using the text, and the text is in the form of JavaScript. And I'm just using the very simple like hello world. Okay, this is the hello world of JavaScript. We use alert. And in between the parentheses, you put the single quote, and you can just mention hello JavaScript. And at the end of this JavaScript, you need to put the semicolon. Okay, so this is similar to Java. Now, I will put one more line after the alert. So after the alert, I will put another line, which is about document, and I'm going to write. So if I run this, hello JavaScript, so it is the pop-up, and then you will see that I'm writing something in the web. So you can define later with more the HTML tag. Let's say I'm going to put as header, or I'm going to make table. or I want to include an image. So you can do with the JavaScript. So the command is document. It means I'm going to write in the documents that I have now, which is index.html. And what I'm going to write is the JavaScript rules. In using the JavaScript, we can have several ways. The first is we can define the script tag in the head. The second is to put the script tag in the body. Actually, it is not recommended, but yeah, I just show you one example. So the script that you see, the script that you see here, now it is in body. So if you still remember, let me get back a little bit. Let me get back to the big project. If you look at the base.html, okay, so you define all the script. You define all the script in the head. Okay, so that's more common. But sometimes you can define your script in the body. For example, when you go to list members, so in the list member, because you don't have any head, the head here means you are going to use the base.html. So let's say I want to get a kind of table for this page. So I'm going to use the existing bootstrap. So the bootstrap, it can be in the form of CSS, it can be also in the form of JavaScript. Then in this case, you can specify your JavaScript in the body. But there will be another way to use the JavaScript. So the JavaScript, it can be in the external files. External files means we will make a new file which have the extension .js. So it will be linked via the script. So for example, this one script, and then I'm going to use the src. Src means the source, and I'm going to call the JavaScript file. And the type is text JavaScript, and it should be ended with the /script. So people said that it is highly recommended because you can make the JavaScript file and you can modify the JavaScript file without changing the HTML. The JS file get cached by the browser. It means if you have a JavaScript file, it is separated. Okay, it is separated, but it can just get cached by the browser only the file name. Sometimes if you have some comments in this JavaScript, they cannot look at the details. When is executed? So JavaScript code is executed during the page loading or when the browser fires an event. Fires an event means when you click something or when you refresh your page. So all statements are executed at page loading. So when you load the page, it will be executed. But some statements just define function that can be called later. If you click, then it will run. Function calls or code can be attached as event handlers via tag attributes. What does it mean by tag attributes? For example, this one. We call this is tag attribute. The tag is img. You still remember img? It means I have image. So if I have the image, I can specify what is the image. Let's say the image is logo.gif, and then I have the tag attribute on click. So if I click this logo, then alert click. We know that alert is the command from JavaScript. So let's say if I want to click this logo and I want to do something, then you can specify the JavaScript command here. So it is executed when the event is fired by the browser. So calling a JavaScript function from the event handler. So in this example, you will learn how to deal with the static external files. The static external files means you have the JavaScript, you have image, you have CSS, and the files, it can be separated. So if the file is .js, it means JavaScript. If the file is .css, it is the style sheet. If the file is image, it is maybe .png or maybe .jpg and so on. And usually for this external file, or we call this is the static external files, you should make it in the different folder. So let's create a folder named static. So you can go to the your project, and then in the parent folder, not this one, in the parent folder, the upper side of the folder, you can create new directory. You can create new directory, and the directory name is static. So you will have the static directory here. The static directory is the same as the basic JS and templates. And then it is good to separate the external files. For example, I have the external file about the JavaScript. So you can make a new directory which is about JavaScript or JS. And then you want to put many images. So you can put another directory, and then you can specify this one as image. So every image, you will put it into the folder image. And every JavaScript file, you will put it into the JS folder. Okay. That's the meaning by the external file. So we need to separate the files, image and the JavaScript. So there are two additional folders, image and JS. After you have the folders, now you need to add those information where is your static folder is located. So you need to put into the settings.py. Okay, I will copy and paste this one. So in the settings.py, you can go to the most bottom part. So you can see there is a static URL. Okay, can you find this one? So this static URL means, okay, actually it's the same. You can remove one. It means everything that is a static file, you can access to this static folder. This static folder. And this static folder, you need to specify the directory. So in this case, the static files directory, it will be depending on your OS, your operating system. If you are using Windows, I think you can just use the command path. But because I do not know whether you are using Windows or Mac, so I'm using this statement. So this statement will check what is your operating system, and then it will automatically find the path, and then they will automatically join the base directory with the static folder. And because there will be some kind of brands like this one, image.js, so we need to define where is the root. So the root means the static folder. So I'm just using this to define later in if we have the static files. If we have another kind of static directory. Now, let's modify the index.html with this below code. I have the index.html in the folder templates. So this is the index.html before we change. Let me just remove everything and then change with the new one. In this case, I'm using the script in the head, and the script is using the JavaScript. We define a function. Okay, so later we will learn more about function, but now let's look at the simple function. If you already understand the computer programming, I guess you will know when we define a function, we need to make some definition about function. In JavaScript, we need to call using function. And then this is the function name, and this is the parameter. And the parameter, it will be sent to this statement. It means if I give the message, then it will show in the alert. In the body, I'm going to look the static. It means I'm going to call any files in the static folder. Now I'm going to use the tag image img. img src, it means source. I'm going to find where is the source. So the source here is the static image image, it means the folder image, and I'm going to call the file logo.key. Okay, now we don't have the logo.key. ALT. Do you still remember ALT? No? Do you still remember what is ALT? No image. Okay. Then it is the alternative. If there is no image, then it will show the caption, my image. Yeah. And then on click. So this is the text attribute. If I have this image, if I click this one, then let's show click. Okay. Okay, for this purpose, if you run this, okay, because there is no image, so it will show my image like this. If you click this one, then it mentioned click. Okay. So let's change. I do not want to use click. I want to say something. How are you doing? Okay. So I can refresh and then I click again. So how are you doing? Okay. So in this case, I'm going to run test. What is test? Test is the function name. Okay. This name refers to the function name that we define in the function of JavaScript. And this is the parameter. How are you doing? So it will go to the message and we will print the message using the under function. Okay. Yeah, you can try if you have a kind of image. Let's say, yeah, you have this logo. Yeah, you can try. Now let's see. Let me download any logo. Which one? Okay, let me download this. This is the okay. So let me let me just put in the download logo.gif. Okay. So I have this logo.gif and I need to put it into the folder in the image. So I need to put here. I will just do this one, click and then open in Explorer. So when I open the Explorer, it will go to this folder. I have the image folder and the JS folder, and then I can just click and then put the logo.gif. So if I have this logo, now, yeah, it changed that I have this image, and if I click, then it shows how are you doing. Okay. So we can use the external JavaScript file. It means we will connect the JavaScript not in the HTML but in another file. So it is always good practice to separate HTML and other related files such as image and JavaScript. So we already used the images. So we are going to access the external script file and execute in the HTML file. So let's modify the index.html. Okay, let me modify this. So the idea is still the same. I'm going to call the file using the load static, and then I am using the static to call where is the file and in which folder is the file located. When I call the files, so I would like to make sure that in the file there are some functions or there are some statements to run on this HTML file. So in this case, if we have the input button, and if I click on this button, it will run sample. So the value will be like this one. The value means the text that you will see. Call JavaScript function from sample.js. So let's see if we do this, and then let's create a JS file name. Create a JS file, and the name is sample.js in the folder JS. So I will copy this one, and then in this folder JS, okay, you can make a new. You can see we can make a new JavaScript file. So you can create a JavaScript file, and let's make the name as sample.js, and then let's put the code like this. Okay, so in the image you have the logo.gif, in the JS you have the sample.js, and the sample.js will contain this one. I have a function, the function name is sample, and there is no parameter, and then I will do alert. Now let's run. So as you know, in the HTML we have one button which is called JavaScript function from sample.js, and if I click, it will show hello from sample.js. So this is the code that we have in the separate file, and we call it from the index.html. So we call this sample function, and the sample function is located in the sample.js. Okay. Okay, I guess there is no much time left, so I will stop here. Any questions?